Good afternoon, Market Chameleon, and everyone joining us for the first time. Thanks for coming by and checking out the afternoon market show with OptionsRobot, Ryan Mastro, and myself. Before we get started, let's take a look at the shared disclaimer. Please be aware that neither Market Chameleon, Ryan, or myself are registered investment advisors or a broker-dealer. If you're searching for investment advice, please reach out to a licensed professional. This webinar, as all our webinars and shows, are for informational purposes only, concerning Market Chameleon, OptionsRobot, tools and products. With that, one last look at the disclaimer, and let's welcome Ryan to the show. How are you doing, Ryan? Ryan, I think you're on mute, my friend.
Yep, there we go. Sorry about that.
I'm sharing your screen. There's the Market Chameleon. What do you have for us this morning? Or this afternoon, I'm sorry.
Yeah, this afternoon for tomorrow morning, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I think we had a tremendous day. Just to kind of come back to the OptionsRobot just charts real quick. If you look over at your Qs and just to highlight what happened today, man, it was just off to the races. Kind of zooming in a little bit more, you can kind of see it was just a gap, another gap up. Friday was kind of stupid. We broke out. Today, even more so. Again, we got a very busy week. We have you basically the Fed on Tuesday. Fed on Tuesday, Wednesday. They're going to be announcing on Wednesday. You're also going to have earnings, Microsoft, Meta, and Google on Wednesday, Apple and Amazon on Thursday. So, the earnings are a big kind of let's push everything up into earnings. And the problem I see with that is we could see a little fade, right? If the earnings really aren't spectacular and people start to call into question, we could leave some gaps on the way down. But I think for the most part, you have to be bullish here. You got new money coming into the market on November 1. You got seasonality starting to kick back in coming into November. So we really start to get into this mode of bullishness. And I think the market's kind of pre-running that as we get into these earnings here. So, coming back over to Market Chameleon, I went down through this list and there's just some decent names in here. Not everything looks the same. Not everything's perfect. Some of these have earnings. Some of these are just not what I would want to play. Like a PayPal, for example. I think PayPal's decent on the chart, but I think because of the reversal that it had today, probably not something I want to touch. I probably have to be pretty far away, maybe taking out the 200 for me to be a bull in something like that. UPS, I believe, has earnings, so that's one I'm probably not going to touch just for that fact, even though the chart looks pretty good. Like it's poised to kind of take out highs, start to get going here. I think we got earnings here the next couple of days. It's a couple other names like NEE, that had news. I think that's an interesting chart as well. So you start to look through some of these and you're like, okay, I can see what people are looking at here and saying, okay, this was awesome. It's taken out these highs back in here. It's ready to go on this one. So this is one I think you could definitely look at in terms of maybe dialing in and say, all right, if I get above maybe the high, that would be one I want to look at. I think the only problem is a little bit expensive. We go over the options. Let's just see how expensive the options are. So you're talking about an $86 stock and are at the monies on this week's options with a couple days to go. We are, let's see, move it down to 86. So about $2. It's actually not bad. So I would say at this point, then I'd probably start an entry bot because they're relatively cheap. If you think they're going to keep going, they did do a deal. So let's do, that didn't take NEE. So NEE, and we'll say, I want to look down part here and pick the high. So NEE on the chart. Today's high was 87.18. We closed at 86.02. That's not bad, 87.18. So let's use that. We'll go back to the entry bots. Okay, NEE, so greater than 87. I'm going to say like 87.25. Give me a little bit of room. I'm going to add an option. I'll say the 87s going to be slightly, and I'm going to do a quick and hit create, and that'll give me a virtual position, and then I can create a template against that. So given the stock's about $86, I'm probably going to do one roll, one exit, and then I can adjust from there. So what that's going to do is if it goes up by $2, I'm going to roll, and then the stock goes up by $2, I'm going to roll. And then just to look at it again real quick on the preview, if it basically then goes up another $2 after that, I'll get out of it. Now, if I really think it's going to start to run or we have a gap, I'll have to reevaluate this and kind of see where things go from there. But coming back to the list, I want to go right to the top. So I thought this one was interesting. It's a cheaper stock. This is ASST. I found this one. And let's just look at the chart on that one real quick. Come on, that's not what I wanted. ASST. And I'm going to shy away from a lot of names that have earnings this week, right? I'm not going to touch the Apples, the Amazons, the Microsoft, Meta, Google, right? I'm not going to get involved in those. So those earnings are up. They have higher implied volatility. I really don't want to get in the way. So let me just zoom out a little bit. This is one of those ones that's been really a crazy stock. Now coming off from the bottom here and moving up with the unusual options. So very big. Let's go back to that real quick. They had 2.6. Almost 2.7 million shares versus an average volume of 36,000. So clearly someone's coming in to trade this thing, whether it's a short squeeze, what have you. But the high of the day, you're talking about $1.81. You can jump into options pretty easily on this. So let's go back over to our options real quick on that. This may be something you may say, I don't even want to wait for an entry bot. And you may want to give yourself a little bit more time, right? Say, okay, let this thing play out to the dollar, right? You're talking about a 150 that's 35 cents. So maybe I want to go out a little further. Maybe I want to say like maybe the 14s, right? And see how expensive they are. So 14s for 11.14, I can play an at the money for 40 cents, right? That's not bad at all, right? In terms of my opinion. So something like that. And what I'd probably do is, you know what? Let's just do an entry bot with it. Let's say entry bot. And I'm going to say greater than, and there's my chart. So high of the day today, giving it to me. No, it's not. Let me just do let's do a candle. And that way we get the data. So today's high was 181. So let's do 1.85. And then we're going to look at that option. So we're going to say the no 14s, and we can do, you know what, let's go up to the 2s, right? Let's just say buy slightly out of the money. This thing's going to go. We can buy something like, I'm only doing, let's do 5 slices, and we'll do that every 5 seconds. So what it does is it puts an order in at the mid, and then it starts to work my way up towards the market price. So I should be able to get filled by doing a price slice there. So that gets me in. Again, this thing's only $2. So I'm probably going to use something like this $2 one and adjust it. And I can create other, you could do option values. If it goes up by 20% of the option value, you can do, the stock goes up by a lot more. I'm going to use this, this one right in here. And that's $2. I'll go in and adjust it real quick. So I'm going to do edit on this one and say if the stock goes up by more than $1, I want to do a roll, and I'm going to roll up to, so if I go up by $1, my options are going to go up by 50 cents. So I probably want to go up to the 3s. If stock goes up from 2 to 3, I definitely want to roll up, right? So if it goes up, so we're going to get out 180, it'd be roughly 280. I'm all right with that. So I probably roll up to, in this case, right, we're in the 2s, we're going to roll up to the specific strike. We're going to roll up to the 3s on that, and we'll do that for quick as well. So click, I want to change my nested trade. So if I'm up in here and if it goes up by, we'll do the same thing on that one. Let's just edit that. So let's say maybe if I go up by another 50 cents. So on top of this one, we're going to say I want to go greater than 0.5. Then I want to exit the trade. Oh, do I have to add greater than? So 180 is $1.280. So let's say 3.25. I want to exit and click confirm. Okay, so that's getting into there. That gets me handled on that one. Now let's do one more in here. Qualcomm was just too big of a move today. I'll just show that on the chart because that was a great move. They came out with news, and stock was up like $20 some or something like that. So that was on fire today, Qualcomm, and you can see how big a move. So I'm not going to touch that right now. Going down, I'm not going to touch UUU, PayPal. We talked about. Path was another one I thought was very interesting, and I thought this was reasonable in terms of the options. But PATH. You look at the stock, it's a $17 stock. It's not too bad. I just wanted to look at one thing. Let's add in average true range and just see what that is doing. So right now, average true range, you're talking about, it's only moving about $1 a day. I wanted to see how expensive the options were. So options should be somewhere around 50 to 60 cents in here. And let's just do a quick cross check on that one. So yeah, they're pretty cheap. So 1750s are 60 cents. So that's not too bad. So we go back on that chart and look at the price action to say, you know, where do I think, again, this is there's so many different ways you can use this platform. So something like this, I think you could get back up here to this 1850. Sorry, this phone just keeps going up. Turn that off. I apologize. This one up here, 18, the high there is 1874. So I think I'd play for that. So 1740. What's this high here? That is 1758. So I think I'm going to use 1758, breakout from there, and play for the potential breakout there. So I do a roll on this one. That's 1874. So let's do an entry bot there. And say, all right, there we go. So I can do this as a candle over here. So this high was 17, let's say 1760. So I want to say if it's greater than 17.6, I want to do an at-the-money option. I'll probably do the 1750s. That's fine. I want to play short term. I'm going to do it for a quick and click create. And this one, I'm actually not going to do I'm just going to show you how we build it without the templates. So create one, and I'm going to say stop 60, I think it was, and I want to do a roll, and I'm just going to say I'm going to roll to the same expiration, and I'm just going to roll up from the 1750s. Let's say, I think, got to imagine they have 1850s as well. Let's see what I can do. Specific strike. So I can roll up to the 1850s, and I'll do that as quick create. So that is my first one. That one's created. Now I can add another one where if I'm in the 1850s now, and I want to say if this thing starts to break out, we'll do it every $1 then. Let's do a $1 more, and we'll say if this goes to 1950, whoops, 50, I want to exit, and we'll do that for quick as well. So that gives me that. Now, I didn't put any stops in, so I can go back if I'm nervous about this pulling back after the great day or the great time it's had. I can add in an either or, right? So I can say if the stock drops by either 1% or whatever, however I want to do it. Let's say I want to put a stop in. I want to put a hard stop of 17 on the nose. So it goes down, the stock goes down by that. I can use the option value. I just want to exit the trade and be done. So get me out of that if it drops down below. So now you can see I added in a stop. So let's preview the entire group. So On my initial trade, I'm in for this. It goes up to 1860. I'll roll my option. If it goes down below 17, I get out. This one, I can add a stop to this one as well and say if it drops back down below, let's see, we'll do that and say less than, let's say down below 18, right? Gives me 50 cents. If it goes down below 18, then I want to exit, and I'll do that quick as well. So that gets me 2 stops, right? I got to do multiple layers in here for this and kind of go down that path. So there's a couple ideas. Hopefully that's something that that everyone likes. And any questions on any of those?
No questions. Maybe next week. Someone was asking about gold, what you thought about gold, but that's nothing we're going to enter
So
here.
gold,
So
yeah, I mean, it's a great question because gold's had an ugly looking pullback. I'll just put up the GLD on here, which is the ETF.
And silver's the same, right? Silver's also pulled back.
Yeah, well, silver's a little bit more a different, I would say, a little bit different because of the squeeze potential of silver. So they've really hit into gold, it's gone down pretty substantially here. I'm still maintaining all my silver positions. I have, I would say, a mixed gold and silver miner, but gold, looks a little bit worse for wear, but I think a lot of this is paper. Now, here's what I would probably be waiting for is the end of the month. Now, granted, that's the entire week of this week, but I think by the end of the month, you're going to start getting inventory data, and I think this is going to go right back up. So I think that's going to be the big kicker here. You go to the SLV, and you can see SLV actually looked a little bit better. Maybe not on the ETF did not look as great, but on the silver futures, this was still holding in here pretty well up near these lows. So the SLV ETF, this has been a proxy for shorting and holding the ETF down just because they can short this a little bit easier than what they were doing with the futures. So this has gone from 49 to 42. I'm still a buyer. I would be acquiring in here, right? In terms of the bigger picture, longer term, I would probably go out and say, if I'm going to be I really don't like the SLV. I think it's highly manipulated. I'd probably look at, if you have the capital, I'd probably be in something like if you want to play an ETF, I'd probably play the PSLV, which is the Sprott physical silver. It still has the same movement, a little bit cheaper, and this has a better silver ratio inside of the company. So this is a Canadian company that has a really good trust. So I like these guys. I'm personally in this one. Then you want to probably look at like silver miners. Some of these have pulled back, maybe not as bad. Like a Hecla, you can see how that's kind of sitting in there. That's a good miner. SDE is another one. So that's kind of held in there a little bit, right? Gone from like 23 to 17. Maybe even something like an AG, which is First Majestic. That's done okay. I think if these all start to pop back up through the highs of this kind of consolidation, they're all going to kind of recover, right? And I think especially when you see how much silver is still being purchased by China. I've been watching the ratios. China silver is still over $100. So, and most of their I don't want to say stores, but mints and different entities that were selling silver are still completely out. So there's still a run going on in silver, and I don't think just the paper futures are going to be able to keep this thing down, especially when you come to the end of the month. So hopefully that helps answer that question.
Very helpful, Ryan. Another great webinar. Mike actually says you are the best. We love these shows, Ryan. Thanks for doing them. So great. Thanks for joining us, Mike. Thanks everyone else for joining us. Ryan, another great show. We'll see you next Wednesday, my friend.
Next Monday.
Next Monday, sorry.
There you go.
I don't know why I'm thinking Wednesday. Next Monday. We'll see you next Monday. Thanks, Ryan. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Take care.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining another webinar series with Ryan from OptionsRobot. Make sure you check out OptionsRobot. With that, everyone have a great day. Check out Dimitri if you want in the morning. We're on actually, that's what I was thinking, Wednesday. We're off tomorrow. Tomorrow you will get a pre-recorded webinar, and then we're back on Wednesday for our pre-market show. So everyone have a great evening and a safe trading day tomorrow, and I'll see you Wednesday morning. Bye.